Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Focus by Seven Wonders, a show about storytelling and brand building. Today on the show, we have Carly and Jojo from Shamir Insight to talk about their experience with the brand that they work for and our experience collaboratively of putting some video projects together. So welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, great to be here.
So just diving right in, Carly and Jojo, feel free to both answer this question individually, but can you tell us a little bit about Shamir and the overall vision for how you communicate the brand's message? Obviously, I know that there's different audiences that you're trying to hit. There's a B2B component, there's a B2C component. What's that experience been like, and just a little bit of context to the brand?
We partner closely with eye doctors and labs that help produce lenses. That's what we do. We're a lens manufacturing company. We design lenses. So that's important. And education is key. We have a wide range of sales account executives around the US who day in, day out meet with these doctors, help educate them so they're better equipped for patients to talk about our lenses, sell them. They also have to build relationships with labs that doctors have to work with to order lenses. So there's a whole ecosystem with this process within the eye industry. So yeah, that's been a huge factor, is building relationships, networking, meeting new people. And again, education is key. That, we're big on innovation and technology. You could ask our president of North America that, Renan. That's one of the ideal things we strive to focus on is building those connections.
Going off of that, but we're trying to get into more consumer, hit more of the consumer market and not just B2B, but that's something new that we're doing as well.
Correct. Yeah. We're touching on that, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but working with you guys is a big key factor.
That's so cool. Well, you're mentioning the relationships and how you build, but you have such a strong reputation currently in the optical industry. I was curious how you craft the stories that convey like the brand values and stuff like that. I know obviously through work like we did together, but other than that, just in terms of like, do you have a lot of brand collateral? Are you having your sales executives tell stories to people?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, we have a pretty great marketing team. We're a part of that, and we have key members on our team that help design marketing tools, literature pieces. Carly and I work a lot on the online side of things, digital assets, multimedia. We are trying to create a whole portfolio of turnkey assets, marketing assets that their account executives could use when educating, could use to demo, to explain a product, but also equipping the ECPs, the eye care professional, with these tools to then use in their practice or in their store. In this case, if we created a video like we're doing together, they can use that in the patient waiting room, and it educates. And there's a call to action to ask about it or to go here, store locator, learn more about it. Here's a QR code to scan. So in that sense, from demos, literature, multimedia, we're handling a lot of stuff to help both our team and also the industry learn about it. So I appreciate that comment. Yeah, Shamir's a big innovator with a lot of lenses and technology that even when I joined, there's a lot to absorb. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Michael.
And to add on to that, outside of the optical industry, people don't really think about like lenses. They think more about the frame. So I think that's another story that we're trying to tell. The lenses are a lot more important because you're seeing through them, and we want to convey that message to people who want to use Shamir and that these lenses are really good.
That's such an interesting insight. And I know hearing the feedback from Daniel and Nick about the process of telling those stories, this was a topic of conversation, but that's so true. When you go to buy eyeglasses, it's a lot of times about the frames. How is it going to look on your face? But it's really the glass itself that is doing the heavy lifting. What has been your challenge and experience with that? Like, what have been some of the strategies that you've been trying to employ? Obviously, our video is probably a part of that, but I'm sure there's a larger effort there. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. To Carly's point, it's an invisible product, so to say, and it's not so appealing or sexy, but it does help someone visually see clear. We found that we have to do a lot of research and data collection and, trial and error to really come out with a lens that will solve people's specific issues. So, we came out with the driver intelligence lens, and that's people having trouble seeing at night when they're driving or in the daytime. There's things we're doing, incorporating artificial intelligence to create these high-tech lenses. But again, I think the big thing with Shamir is they want to tailor these lenses specifically just for that patient. That's customized for them, whatever needs that, they require with their prescription. I've noticed in this company that they do a good job doing that and finding that need and creating that want. So
No, I think you covered it. I was going to say just data and research is if they're not seen to believe, that's what we can back it up with.
A quick follow-up I have to that. The main audience for this show that we're intending it for is brand marketers and just sharing insights from experience within different companies of what's a learning that can be shared from what we do here to another brand marketer at another organization that might be in a completely different industry. What, in your experience in trying to tell these stories and working at this company, and even in previous experience, are there any key insights or pieces of advice that have been major takeaways in your career thus far? I know that's kind of open-ended, but I'm curious if anything immediately comes to mind.
being at this company and others, being agile and flexible, the market always changes for whatever industry. So my experience at Shamir has been a lot of changes in the eye care industry, meaning people's wants and needs are different. Especially after COVID in 2020, things changed. We ramped up to safety glasses, to how can we improve the working experience, occupational things, to then getting back to the technology and innovation. I think that never stops. And as long as there's a passion there and you put effort into it, you work as a team and you collaborate, that's the biggest thing. And communication is key. In a flexible environment, I think that's the thing everyone needs to ensure they're aligned with, so we could get things done essentially.
I'm curious on the same front there, what Steven's mentioning as well, and what you're mentioning, Jojo. Obviously, every company of a certain size wants to take an omni-channel approach, but do you find that there's a type of storytelling or a platform that's resonating the most with your audience? Obviously, there's a lot of different platforms out there and a lot of different mediums, so
video is huge. I think Carly can attest to that. We've gotten a lot of engagement. It's something people can easily absorb, watch, easy to interact with, reshare. Social media has been big with us in terms of posting consistently, email marketing. And again, this content helps push that message out. Again, at the beginning, helps educate. So I think that we find that working. And the biggest thing there too, Michael, is we like to take in feedback from not just our sales team or marketing, but all their different departments and even doctors. So we're open to feedback. And then I think that helps us create marketing tools that will be effective now or into the future. And yeah, this just helps us do it. So the omni-channel approach, we have a whole bunch, but I think email marketing, receiving feedback, social media have just been a big factor in doing so.
That's so cool. That's so interesting that you mentioned feedback. Do you have a way that you filter the feedback, like a stacked priority list?
Yeah. How do you explain it, Carl? We get a couple, good and bad feedback responses from time to time. Going back to the flexibility aspect of things, I think we react quickly. So if it's an emergency, we got to take care of it. But yes, we do collect feedback and comments too that are positive. And we will write off that comment and, keep making things that are based on what people want and see. But if there's things that are lacking that people don't like or not engaging with, Carly and I have meetings on that, and we kind of replan things or reassess and go from there. But yeah, we have a list, a little bit of a list of things we should do and don't do.
Just adding to what Jojo was saying, is the biggest platform that we have being a B2B company is LinkedIn. That is our most engaging platform because that's where the eye doctors are and that's where more business people are. And yeah, I just wanted to share that.
When we assess the year and like what channels are working, we find that professional social media platform, LinkedIn, has really given us a lot of good feedback. And then our account executives are engaging as well, and they're resharing our content. So we like that. And even our customers are doing the same. So that's been nice.
We find that with a lot of our B2B clients that LinkedIn is the most successful platform.
Today, not only do we have the Shamir folks, but we also have Nick and Daniel from our LA team who worked on this project here to talk a little bit about the process. You mentioned, obviously, video is a big priority for you all because it's shareable and accessible for the audience. Seven Wonders team, Nick and Daniel, What were the challenges presented to you for the project that we all did together? And what was the creative vision? How did it evolve?
Well, I was the producer for this, so definitely I think the overarching goal was introducing this new cool technology with the kind of like two aims, like you mentioned, Jodo, we were informing these ECPs, these eye doctors, and showing them this technology that they may or may not have been aware of before, but then also tailoring it consumer based and the patients that are in the practices. So we had to, in the most engaging way possible, kind of fill these two needs of informing about this new technology and infusing the story to make an emotional connection with like a patient sitting in the office, seeing something real quickly and then getting them excited about lenses. Like you said, it's usually about the frames. It's like everyone's worried about the style of like, what are they going to look like in these glasses? But they're not thinking about how are they going to see and how are they going to navigate the world with the lenses, which is, should be more important. Nobody should really care about what they look like, right? But how you see through Shamir lenses is how you interact with and see the world. That was our biggest interesting creative hurdle starting point was how do we tell this engaging emotional story while doing this introduction of this cool new technology.
To your point, Nick, I think so much about it was the storytelling component. So because we're reaching a consumer audience, like you said, we wanted to make it more emotional. And we are working with Shamir, Jojo, and Carly on a series of videos here. But our first video was for a product called Driver Intelligence Lenses, which allow drivers to see more clearly on the road. It reduces reflections. And the key messaging was about promoting safety and also appealing to an audience of hobbyists, people that really enjoy driving. They love going fast down the roads. So this product has increased clarity for those drivers. And we wanted to appeal to both of those segments. And I think we did that through telling an engaging story between a father and a son. Father is able to have the glasses and it enhances the safety aspect. And then the son is the hobbyist driver. So he's really enjoying driving with the lenses. And it was all about bridging those two stories together, essentially. On our end, we created a script. We worked really closely with your team. And I think we came up with a really great concept and something that looks really great.
Pivoting back to Jojo and Carly, more broadly, like what is important to you when working with vendors? Like as you're trying to bring a vision to life, we as a vendor, and I'm sure the other vendors that you work with are going to bring ideas to the table. Like what is the challenge for you all to filter those out, take what works? What's that process like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it initially starts with a vetting process and research, right, on both ends to see, can we work together? Can we collaborate? And then also seeing, in this sense of things, Seven Wonders, checking out your portfolio, getting on introduction calls. I know, Stephen, we spoke the first time, and then you introduced me to Nick and Daniel later with Carly and I. It was so easy to speak with you guys. And that was nice. That's a compliment to you guys, but just the connection there, easy to work with. There's times where we're busy and they understand that. We're trying to scramble, but they're still working through. Things are getting completed, getting done. And there's comfort in that, knowing like, hey, it's a collaborative effort and there's a team out there that's working hard to be a part of this, create that partnership. So when I mentioned that vetting process, we did the pilot, I think the driver intelligence video, we saw the process and we liked the process. I think it was very systematic, very involved. The collaboration was top notch. I'll just say it now, but I can see us working again in 2025, just with new projects coming up, some new ideas. And I've enjoyed working with Daniel and Nick closely through email, through video chats. Yeah, anything you want to add, Carly, on that front when trying to find a vendor working with them?
I guess another big thing is that can we trust you to, convey our brand correctly? And I think by what you guys have shown us since the beginning, I think the whole process has been really smooth and we haven't been worried about anything really because we've been communicative. And I think that's a big thing when we're trying to look for vendors, if they're going to communicate well with us or if they're going to follow through when things are supposed to be done and then the finished product. I think the whole process has been really awesome working with you guys.
Yeah, I want to add something. Shamir and the team here are striving for innovation and new technology. The communication process was smooth, like Carly said. I think there was tools you guys already had implemented for gather feedback, to show a preview video. Like, it just made it so simple. It wasn't just like, hey, here's a link and there's limitations, right? It was like, here's a link, you can interact with this link, you can make comments here. That was nice compared to other vendors we've used. So yeah, it's building relationship, building trust. Of course, there's the unknown. There's a trial period. We're going to know. But I think with Seven Wonders, it's been, again, a smooth process and easy to work with.
Thanks for that. I know our team really enjoyed working with you all as well. It's we're starting out the beginning stages with the client to figure out what they like, what they don't like, and how to best mold some of our best practices that we use with our other clients for the new client that we're working with. So
Yeah, I like to
it's
say that,
always
Michael. Yeah, a dating process.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different every time too. No two clients are exactly the same. So
Right. Nick and Daniel and Stephen, and now you, Michael, but you guys welcomed us with open arms, and we had this production shoot. You're like, hey, if you come up, we'll take care of you. Check it out, how we do everything. And like, that was cool. Just being able to be there on set, even if it was a couple hours, that makes a difference. I think so.
One of the things that we wanted to touch on was this experience of using the LED stage as a supplement, or a replacement, I should say, for actually going out and filming in real vehicles on real roads. Daniel, what was the logic behind that, and why was that decision made, and why was it important to telling this story?
This was the same product I mentioned before, Driver Intelligence. And because of the complexity of the story, we really wanted to show a lot, essentially. So we wanted to show the characters interacting together in the car. We wanted to show just the son driving really quick. We wanted to show them together in a living room scenario. So we were thinking, okay, within the constraints of the production, we have about 1 day to do this. How can we achieve that most effectively and also have a little bit of room to play around with, right? So if we want to get different angles, it's very easy when you're shooting in a soundstage to jump around. So to get an angle from looking in on the side of the car or from the front of the car. If we didn't shoot in a soundstage, we would have had to rig the car with multiple cameras. We would have had to shut streets down. So there's a lot of variables that go into this. But it was such an awesome process shooting on the stage itself, because the way it's designed, back in the day, and they still do this, but they use green screens where they put a vehicle in front of the green screens and then they comp the images on it. But now in 2024, we have more advanced technology. And in this stage specifically, they have LED panels. So there's one behind the vehicle and one on each side. And basically you load what's called plates, which are video footage that's been previously recorded of, streets and angles that are showing like from the perspective of a moving vehicle. And they put the plates on the LED panels, which then create the illusion that the car is driving and also provide reflections on the vehicle. So it was just in general like a really amazing experience, being on set, understanding how it all works, working with the team at the stage, and then of course working with Jojo and Carly on this. I love that they came and visited. I know you came all the way up from San Diego to LA, so that was amazing and it was great to see you. But overall, it was just such a great experience. Nick, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Second all of that, and thank you, Carly and Jojo, for those kind words. I do think the communication is just everything throughout this whole process. And talk about great clients. Jojo not only drove up from San Diego, he flew into town that morning, then got in a car, then drove up to LA just to meet us and be on set, for a few hours. And it was so great to have you two. Always love to have clients on set whenever possible. But like, you guys went the extra mile, and it was great to meet you in person and kind of get to show you a little behind the scenes. But yeah, it's a grand story. Like the Driver Intelligence, like I said, it's a brand new technology. And it was crucial that we showed the two different lenses. There's a sun, it's called sun lens for daytime driving, and then the moon lens, which is for nighttime driving. And, those carry equal weight, but obviously, we don't have $1 billion budget, so we're not able to shoot all day and then shoot all night. We have these limits already put in place. So we needed to creatively find a way to debut these two different lenses and tell two different stories, both part of one overarching story. And so this was just, I think, a pretty novel way to tell that huge story in the scope that we have. We had it all on the stage. We rolled in a car. We had these plates, like Daniel mentioned, that showed nighttime driving scenes and daytime driving scenes, and in the city and out in the suburbs and the rural area. And it was just, we got a huge breadth of footage that Shamir can use for other purposes too, that show their lenses in these really cool, sleek shots. They can use those for other purposes, but it helped us tell this grand story all in scope and in the right scale.
Well, and we also, for some scenes, I know, use generative AI too, I think for the living room scenes, because for a lot of the driving scenes, obviously there's existing footage of these different environments. But for the living room, you can't find stock images of a living room without furniture in it. When you have a picture of a living room with furniture in it, and then we also had a couch, then it's like, why is there a couch behind the couch? And so we had to generate AI images of empty living room. I remember we were like on ChatGPT, like, every time it would generate it with a couch, and it's like, no, I do not want a couch.
Right. We needed this blank space. That was one of the like fun artistic goals. And we worked with this team here in LA at the virtual set to like, how do we shoot this in the most realistic way? So we had to use, real world elements like a couch, a certain distance away from the screens to create this depth of field to kind of sell that look, and then add digital props on the background and like generate things like you were talking about to make the overall scene work. So it's a very technical process, but it was a lot of prep on our part, and then the team we worked with at the studio was just really great with helping sell every shot and making it all look realistic. So it was very fun.
Jojo and Carly, when you visited, what was that experience like? Had you seen anything like that set up before?
I'll start. I haven't. I thought it was really cool, and seeing you guys do like your job and being there was like so cool, and being able to see how you create the real life car and then the scene behind it with the roads and everything. I was like, wow. And then the actors on set too were it was so surprising to see, because I've never seen anything like that. So it was a really cool experience to see.
All I gotta say is, I'm a big fan of film, so that was definitely cool to see movie magic. And yeah, to Daniel's point earlier, Nick, originally we thought, oh, we're gonna just film this outside or do something, get shots, but that's a lot of work. Going back to what I said originally, Shamir being flexible and adaptable, Seven Wonders showed that, and they're like, hey, let's figure this out, let's problem solve, and they found this studio. Yeah, like what Carly was saying, just walking in, you're like, oh wow, this is like huge screens, or plates you were saying, and there's a real car here. You're combining real world elements with something else. And when you see like the finished product, the video, I actually showed my wife and I showed some friends, and they couldn't tell. They thought, oh, that was not outside. So that's cool when you're able to capture that essence, that the whole feel within the video.
And
That's
I
so
just want
funny.
to add on it. Also, I remember the little details. I remember when you guys were filming, I think it was the sun in the car where you guys were like jumping on the,
Oh, yeah, let's create some
like some vibration. Because I was like, we don't think about that. And that was like something real that you needed so it could look real in the video. And along with the glares on the windshield. And I thought it was really cool.
Nick, it was all Nick. I saw that. Yeah.
That was
Nick,
good bouncing
you
in
were
there.
shaking the car, you're
Oh
saying?
yeah,
Like,
that's not something you're adding in post. I got a little workout.
Nice.
That was my credit for the day.
There you go.
Car shaker.
We also had a crew member adding additional lighting effects. So as Nick was pushing up and down on the car, we had someone streaking a light across. And it's interesting because you light the scene as you would any other scene in a movie or a commercial. So you have a bunch of lights coming in, but then you also have the LED panels. So there's a lot of things that go into making it look realistic. Yeah, I'm really happy with the result. It's amazing that when you showed it to people, they were just like, oh yeah, they're driving. That's really great.
Like you said, Daniel, the little details of like having to flash a light to make it seem like a headlight passing by or whatever. I think those like help. But yeah, really cool, really cool.
Yeah, that's what sells it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the little minutia.
I showed it to my friends. I was at a dinner party when the first version with the effects came in on our internal Slack channel. And I was like, hey, can y'all watch this and let me know what you think? And they watched it and they're like, that was amazing. I'm like, did you think it was shot in real life or on a green screen? They're like, definitely real life. Like, no doubt. I was like, no, all on LED wall.
2024.
Yeah.
Before.
Technology.
So I'm gonna ask one final question for you all. Thank you again so much for joining. It's been a pleasure to hear from you and hear your perspective. Again, this is intended for brand marketers and storytellers that are looking to grow their brands and their audience. Having gone through this experience and also the things that you all do, what advice might you have for other brand marketers as they're trying to, in corporate environments, trying to innovate, trying to come up with ideas and stay true to their brand at the same time?
I would say knowing your audience and what they want and how you can cater to them because they're the ones that are going to be looking at your brand. And if they trust your brand and become advocates for it, I think that's the most important. And when you're trying to market to them and tell a story.
Yeah, that's a good point, Carly. Especially with this driving lens as an example. We want to start off with what is a pain point or what's a need out there that we can then educate and then provide a solution. And so that can be within your industry or a certain product, all that. I think that will help be more appealing, will resonate with the audience more that you're trying to target. Something we're definitely focusing on, especially coming into this new year, is that. And I think the rest will.
Awesome. Daniel, Nick, any final thoughts from our side?
The overall message that we talked about is just communicating with the client, between client and vendor, like know what you're selling and who you're selling to and the pain points. And just from our end, it's like get the technical information out there, but make some sort of emotional connection, like find a way to tell an interesting story. So you do make a connection with your audience and then they just associate your brand with, their pain point, their need. However, how can this brand help fix something in my life or make something better? Just that's from my end, is just make sure you make that something interesting and make that emotional connection.
Yeah. Specifically, when you're targeting consumers, it's all about creating the relationship between the content and the viewer. So if you can have that human component, I think it resonates with audiences more. The last thing I wanted to say is just from an educational perspective, I think this experience has been really great. I think anytime a client and a vendor work together, there is a level of educating that needs to happen. So it's been a pleasure learning more about Shamir's offerings and the eye care industry at large. So for us, we need that information to be able to create. I think it works both ways and then we've been sort of explaining how our process works with production. So that collaboration has been really great. And I think as marketers, and you're a marketing team and we're a marketing team, that's what enables us to work together to create a product that viewers can understand and enjoy.
Well, Michael, any final thoughts before I cut things off?
No, I think this was great. Thank you to the Shamir team for joining us today. And thanks to Nick and Daniel for giving their feedback and joining us as well. So.